LHGPL Grand Finals Game 3 between Omega Gaming Syndicate and the Akuma Shurikens. Omega Gaming Syndicate now sitting up 2-0 in this series. I'm Gordo, joined once again by Rudude, and Rudude, we might see a clean sweep here tonight.
We definitely could do here. It never really has looked too threatening for Omega Gaming Syndicate. This series, the first two games at the very least, have been fairly convincing, fairly one-sided. We might have to see a bit of a remake on this draft here because it looks like we're getting reports of the Akuma roster having a bit of an awkward experience with the link, but we can come back to that at a later point. We'll be all good to go. And I want to quickly, re-mention your point right here, Gordo, that Omega Gaming Syndicate have been fairly consistent so far in this series. Granted, the sample size of 2 games isn't, the biggest to pull from, but in a best of 5, that is pretty much all you need to secure yourselves as the leaders in this series. Obviously, 2-0 up, they've now got 3 attempts at this final. I have to remember, again, this is for all of the marbles here. This is the final here. There are no losers brackets, no second goes, no redos here for either of these teams. If Syndicate win just one of their next 3 games, they're going to be crowned victors.
Yeah, and Akuma going to be banning out the Lilia in this game, deciding that after what Fallen Artemis was able to do on it in Game 1, they are not willing to risk giving that pick up again. It's going to lead to a first pick of Oliver for the side of Omega Gaming, and it's going to be countered out with a Kindred from Akuma.
Yeah, so we have to remember that they're both on the same side as they were from the previous game, and with Zillion Graves being banned and the Lilia this time around being exchanged into the bans, the Volibear, which was banned away in game number 2, gets picked up handily as the first pick for Fallen Artemis, we presume, in the jungle. We have to remember that there's a potential that this goes into the top lane. Volibear as a top laner has a lot of strong trade patterns, can go toe-to-toe with pretty much every single top laner in the first few moments of the game, but does fall toward that end game power slump that we see traditionally with tank and early game bruisers.
And an interesting Nautilus pick coming in here from the Akuma Shurikens. They've not shown any priority towards this support earlier on in this series. No picks, no bans, but they're going to be taking it blind here. Second pick with their first rotation. Now going to be responded to by a Caitlyn and potentially another support here for the side of Omega. Feels like this could be an easy counter pick, and it is going to be the Morgana.
Exactly. Omega Gaming Syndicate, they pick up a really powerhouse bot lane. Going back a couple patches, but the power of the duo has been present since Caitlyn's rework, really, with all those headshot trap combos being able to come on through. Really like this pickup here, not only as an answer to the Nautilus, but as an answer to any form of blind pick ability down in the bot lane. I want to mention here as well, with that Yone picked up, there's a small chance that we see it in the bot lane. I expect it to go into the mid lane because I believe this has been banned away second rotation by Omega Gaming Syndicate in the previous games. Game number 2 it was, game number 1 it wasn't here, but this gives Omega Gaming Syndicate counter pick in the solo lanes again, and it's something that they're not necessarily used to. They're going to be able to counter pick themselves whatever is against this Yone. Might have to blind pick the top lane, but they should be in a fairly decent position to make something good out of the rest of this draft.
Yeah, and Akuma going to be clearly putting a lot of eggs in their all-star baskets this game. They are going to be putting both Hexmist and Sluter onto these all-important carry champions, giving them a lot of independent carry potential as long as their team is able to play around them. They already have one frontliner in the Nautilus locked in, and very well might pick another one here, but no, it looks like it's going to be the Ziggs lock-in. Might see this coming in bot lane. This is the duo they want with the Nautilus.
Yeah, I can definitely see the power in this bot lane duo right here. Caitlyn Karma want to push in lanes and really force you out under turret here, and with the Ziggs, they should be able to neutralize the laning phase, neutralize the wave state, and keep that wave just as pushed in as the Caitlyn Morgana will be wanting to go for. So being able to synchronize not only your skill shots with the Nautilus hook is something that we need to keep our eyes on, because we could see some anti-synergy come on through. But as we mentioned, the second round of ban phases didn't really get to touch on them. The Malphite, the Fizz get taken away by Akuma, but once again, failing on this Diana takeaway. And Texi, been known for the Diana as we've ran through playoffs, took it in game number 2 and had a very dominant performance on it. Going to take it once again, be it versus Yone versus the Ziggs. This is going to be a really decent matchup for the Diana.
Yeah, and it looks like the blind top laner here for the side of Omega, it's going to possibly be this Jax for Blood King, and it is going to be locked in, a very powerful carry champion for him here in this game 3.
Oh, okay, and I like the hover here. We can't talk about hovers because we get baited by them every single time. But yes, Jack's going to be the pickup for Blood King up on the top side. A different take from game 2 to game number 3, and even from game number 1 as well. We've seen him fulfill multiple roles right here. And this is going to be the final lock in of the top lane here. Going to be Jax versus Fiora. A bit of an El Clasico coming on out, and the timing on the riposte is going to be so crucial in this top side matchup. Going to sway the entire laning phase. If the Fiora is able to riposte that counter strike, then the Fiora will win. If it is the other way around, then the Jax wins those trades. A very skill-oriented matchup in the top lane.
Yeah, the classic duelist matchup going on up there, as we are going to likely see this Volibear being flexed on over to the jungle role, similar to the Graves Volibear matchup. Volibear going to likely be able to bully onto this Kindred a little bit early, going to be wanting to make sure she doesn't get up too many marks. It does need to get up to 4 of those stacked marks of the Kindred to be able to get that extended range and become a quote-unquote real champion.
Exactly. The extra range for the Kindred really does help out, especially when we're looking at the roster here of Omega Gaming Syndicate. So many dive heavy champions with the Volibear, with the Diana, with the Jax as well. Any extra range that he's able to gain will help him out tenfold, because if he's not in range to throw those auto attacks, then he's not going to be pumping out any damage. And a Kindred with no damage is a sad Kindred indeed. Really going to become that Lamb's Respite bot indeed. So, definitely going to be looking toward this Kindred, getting those marks, getting something going in the early game, maybe trying to go toe to toe a little bit more so, maybe with the team with to take down this Volibear.
Certainly the case, as we are going to be getting on into the in-client draft pretty soon here. Just waiting on up for the players to ready here. And this is going to be some interesting matchups in both side lanes. As we talked about the duelists in the top lane, we can also look towards the bot lane. As you already brought up, the Zig's going to be trying to keep their distance and push in the wave here. Additionally, going to have that magic damage to break through Black Shield and enable both himself and Nautilus to get through that CC onto the target of their choice on Omega Gaming Syndicate.
Exactly, it adds a little bit more skill to Rutinium's positioning playstyle. The execution on this Morgana right here, because I love that you bring up the magic damage coming from the Ziggs as well. If Morgana just throws that Dark Bind or that Black Shield onto anybody in particular, without the appropriate timing, then Nautilus is going to have a fairly free time trying to find a depth charge, find one of those tidal depth charge. That's the one. How did that one escape me? Either way, getting rid of the ability for a Nautilus to engage is something that this Morgana will definitely excel at. But if the Ziggs is able to push out that shield, then it really just opens up asymmetric to find yet another angle in.
Certainly, and definitely going to also be a little bit of synergy going with the Yone and the Ziggs there. A combo I haven't seen too much of, but I can definitely see that last breath from Yone going to be knocking everybody into a small area as he pulls them all to the end of his dash. Going to be a great lineup there for a Mega Inferno Bomb to be thrown in and guarantee a hit right in the center.
Exactly. A lot of sort of unique Season 10 Wombo combo coming through right here. Yes, Ziggs has been around for a long time, but here the Yone is a little bit newer to the Summoner's Rift. In combination with that Nautilus, we obviously are going to see some really nice little compositions coming on through. Nice little synergy for both of these carry members here for the Akuma Scimitars.
Yeah, the Shurikens here going to be
Indeed.
locking in Yone towards that mid lane. So that does mean we're not going to see any flexibility between the Ziggs and the Yone. It is going to be Sluter coming through on the AD pick, while Alive going to be coming in with the Mage.
Exactly, a little bit of a different take for both of these guys right here. We've seen mages in bot lane for a long time now, post Season 8, Season 9, Season 8 AD carry, Omega Lul, all of that good stuff from Twitch memes back in the day. That mages have sort of seen a bit of play in the bot lane for about 3 years now, and any ADC player worth their salt should be looking to pay some mages down in that bot lane. We can see Alive has the Ziggs now this time around, about to get locked on in. So picking that one up is definitely nothing out of the ordinary here, and Ziggsbot sort of the pioneer of sending mages to the bot lane, the OG, if you will, at being that mage down on the bot side. And the reason for that really comes down to the push power that we mentioned earlier on, and also the ability to take towers pretty much unrivaled by any even AD carry down on the bot lane. The execute on turret is something that is unique to Ziggs himself. Any turret below 25% HP is just going to get immediately taken down. And if that opportunity presents itself pre-14 minutes here, it's going to be a free plating gold and a free section of the turret. That local gold as well, going to definitely work its way into the pocket of the Ziggs, work its way into the pocket of the Akuma members if they're able to get themselves off to a nice little early game start.
Absolutely, and also something to keep in mind: a little bit of a change in priorities that you want to see with these Ziggs comps is definitely want to be looking for Hexmist and the rest of the Shurikens to prioritize these Rift Heralds a little bit more harshly. If you're able to get a Rift Herald charge along with the true damage from that, along with the true damage execute coming in from Ziggs' satchel charge, means you can burst out turrets incredibly efficiently if you're able to get those Heralds.
It does, and that again comes back down to this early game potency of the Volibear for Fallen Artemis here. We need to see him abuse this, because if Volibear falls behind, it can definitely feel like a non-factor champion, and Kindred, one of those champions that is definitely adept at pushing a snowball lead. But if Fallen is able to play to his champion strengths, use the solo laners once again, and just collapse together, playing as a 3 versus 3 on the top side, should result early on in a winning situation for Syndicate and deny those heralds that Hexmist in particular so desperately wants.
Yeah, and this is it, dude, as the Shurikens have their backs against the wall. This is their last and final opportunity to find something that works against the Omega Gaming Syndicate roster. They've not been able to win in quite a while, and they are going to need to if they want to keep this series going and keep their hopes of an LHGPL championship alive.
Exactly. They've got 3 games to come back from right here, Gordo. They've got to do a lot of work right now. They're up against it, backs against the wall. But if there's any team that can do it, it's the team that have been undefeated against any other team in the PL. Yes, it appears Syndicate have been a bit of their kryptonite here, but the undefeated mentality needs to come back and come back strong as we move into game number 3.
Certainly the case. And with that said, we are going to take a little bit of a break here. We're going to load on up into the game. But as always, we're going to be right back to bring you every bit of action that happens on the Rift. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Game 3 of the LHGPL Grand Finals. Omega Gaming Syndicate currently sitting 2-0 up over the Akuma Shurikens and looking to close it out in 3 games. My name is Gordo, and I'm joined once again by Rudu. Does Rudu there making a beeline for each other in the river?
They definitely are. Twisty needs to be careful right here. Dredge line.
Oh, that's going to be a flash forward for Asymmetric, going to be met with a flash of Twisty's own. No action quite yet, but going to be forcing out some summoner spells.
You say no action, Gordo, but I will take a flash for flash trade level 1 every day of the week. So far, we've seen boring 5 points and maybe a steal away of the Raptors, but overall, that trade, nice and favourable for Akuma right there. They're able to walk on in. They do have to burn their Nautilus Flash, but every day of the week, do you take that trade if you are the support?
Certainly the case there. Asymmetric immediately able to make his presence known. He's going to land another hook here. No flash required onto Rutenium. Going to be met with a little bit of a binding and doesn't quite have the follow-up to make anything else happen. But Asymmetric clearly feeling comfortable on this. Nautilus is going to be looking for these dredge lines.
Definitely is, and that's what you want to see from a Nautilus. The ability to just use your cooldowns, and it seems so silly to say it in such a trivial fashion, but sometimes a support with full mana and full HP is worse than a support with low HP and low mana, because if they've got low mana, it means they're casting their skills, it means they're asserting themselves in the laning phase. And if you're sat there, the passive Blitzcrank effect where you're just sat there not throwing your hook, not doing anything, it can feel like a 1 versus 2 lane. I really like the aggression already from Asymmetric, and hopefully it's indicative of how they're going to play out the rest of the game.
And we are expecting quite a bit of trading to go on in this top lane. A real skill matchup here between Nine Line Klein's Fiora and Blood King's Jax. Both of them going for the grasp of the Undying here. So going to be looking to trade auto attacks with one another.
Yeah, we should see at least some early game potency coming through from either one of these top laners, trying to get those grasp procs underway, trying to get that maximum HP increase early on in the game. We can see level 2.
Ooh, and that's going to be the stun coming through from Nine Line Klein. He's going to be able to get 1 vital, going to be able to get 2, now potentially a 3rd, but going to be backing off here. An excellent trade for him there off of a great riposte on the counter-strike.
When you can see that the power of that W of Fiora really determines the way these trades go. I hope that we get to see it go the other way sometime soon as well, but we might not have the chance.
Oh, and here we go. Blood King going to be going in here with Fallen Artemis on the backup. Could potentially get executed here by Nine Line Klein, though. Has to be watching out for whether or not the parlay is going to come on through, or the dive forward, rather. Parlay's a gangplank ability, but now Blood King going to get taken down for first blood here from Hexmist as he gets executed away from the Kindred. Now, though, Fallen Artemis going to try to trade it back. He's going to flash forward and finish off Hexmist, and now he's going to be looking for Nine Line Klein, but not quite going to be able to get to him as he's fallen back under the turret. A 1-for-1 in a level 1 fight.
Yeah, and it is the kill over to the Volley Bear and the Kindred, so both junglers getting a little bit of an influx in gold early on.
Rutenium getting knocked back by the Satchel Charge, now going to be punished for not having that flash, gets ignited on, going to be a flash forward from Alive to finish off the kill, and Asymmetric going to end up picking it up with the Ignite. Now Twisty going to be pushing forward, trying to finish off Asymmetric, but he can't just walk on through this. Ziggs does so much damage with these bombs, going to be accidentally walking onto a trap, though, going to end up being cooked back in by the Nautilus. Is Alive, able to pick up another kill as Akuma Shurikens strike first in this bot lane.
And in the do-or-die game, they come up huge in the early game. We're 3.5 minutes in, 3 kills for Akuma right here. They're fighting fire with fire. They're going down swinging, and they're definitely looking to make this a series to remember.
Absolutely, as now we're going to see Klein is going to be teleporting back up into that top lane. Blood King did not use that ability himself, but he is now level 4 versus Blood King's level 3, going to be immediately going for a vital proc and potentially going to be lunging forward for a couple more.
He's definitely got the advantage on this top side with that 10 CS lead, and with the massive wave that he was able to collect under the turret after Blood King fell for that first blood. The important thing in that top side 2v2 is that Nine Line Clan was able to pick up a lot of minions under the turret where Blood King wasn't mid lane.
Xmas here in mid, going to be looking to pressure onto Intexi, along with Sluter has already used the Soul Unbound to push on forward, going to be chunking him pretty low. Doesn't have access to the kill, though. Going to force Intexi back, though. He's likely going to have to blow the TP here to return to lane.
Yeah, and I want to see some early armor coming out of this Diana in the mid lane. It'll just have so much value versus everybody that she's going to be facing up against in this early game. You can see already. Double cloth armor coming through, likely going to be working towards that Seeker's arm guard, which is going to be such a crucial item for the Diana this game. Double armor mid jungle duo, and even in the top side, if a 3v3 does amount around that Rift Herald, which has been highlighting as a key power point early on, this armor going to go a long way to keeping the Diana safe and making sure she can dish out the damage in the early game.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge wave crashing into the turret for Blood King here. He's going to be trying to pick up as much of that as he can to try to close some of the CS gap that Klein has created early on. Klein not having access to the TP this time, so going to have to take that long walk back as Blood King going to try to set up a freeze in this top lane potentially.
Yeah, and that'd be the way back into the laning phase for the Jax at the very least. Getting the ability to push or keep the wave where he wants it, meaning that Nine Line Clan will have to step up and potentially break that freeze. Looks like it's actually going to be broken by Blood himself on the top side, and with the power of this duo bot lane that got the double kill early on, they're able to translate that into a little early game advantage. Blood King trying to push this wave could be overextending as he's very low on HP, but the Dragon ultimately going to Akuma right here. They're going to get the advantage early on and start themselves off in that neutral objective game.
Yeah, taking advantage of the advantage they accrued for themselves in the bot lane. They haven't been able to double kill already, but now Sluter going to find himself being gone in by Intexi. Well timed there, knowing he was going to snap back to his own soul pretty shortly. Now we're just going to see a recall coming out of Blood King. He's going to be going for his second buy here, as he's going to return to lane against this Fiora. So far not going in his favor, but he's starting to close the gap a little bit.
Yeah, did his best with pushing the wave and taking a reset there. Misses a few of the minions on the crash and is going to walk his way back up to the top side, which I believe, if I can quickly toggle up to that top side, is going to be very favoured for Nine Line right here. Has 5 caster minions, which is one more than you need for the ideal freeze up in the top lane, so he's going to be having the wave in that decent position for a long time.
Yeah, and now it's going to be a binding coming in from Rutinium, but no follow-up quite available here. There are 4 members of the Akuma Shurikens down here in the bot river, and they've already picked up the dragon. No quite other objectives available at the moment, but not going to be anything picked up for the side of Syndicate either.
No, just going to be a bit of a trade of the cooldowns right there. Doesn't net anything for anybody in particular. In Texi's top lane, though, Nine Line Clan doesn't necessarily know this. Knows that he's missing from mid lane, but doesn't know where he is. There's a chance that this kill goes back in favours for Blood King and turns the lane back around. We have to see if it comes through.
Yeah, these are a couple of squishy champions, though, to be going for a dive, and Nine Line Klein has a 2-level lead on Blood King right now. Still has not even hit level 6, facing down this level 7 Fiora. It's actually a huge lead for the side of Klein. Intexi has already given up on this gank, as Blood King still not able to hit level 6 and in serious danger of getting bullied here.
Definitely, this Fiora favoured in this topside matchup at this point, and it comes down to that 2v2 on the top side early on, giving your life when your jungler gets the kill and your enemy top is able to take so much experience. This is a classic example of why experience is so brutally important in the early game. These 2 levels are not just 2 levels, they are a ton of base statistics that are going in favour of Nine Line Klein right here. So much HP, AD, armor, everything that scales with levels is literally every single statistic here, other than the movement speed going in favour of Fiora. And those double levels were so brutal, just trying to zone the Jax off of any single CS, putting in a brilliant position to enable this Fiora snowball. Level 6 to level 8 now is such a tremendous lead.
Yeah, both junglers going to be lurking around this top side as well, as now Sluter and Intexi going to be joining them. Intexi going to be finding a pink ward here in this bush and going to be clearing that away. But Hexmist has already started up the Rift Herald. We talked about how important that is for this team comp, and it looks like Fallen Artemis going to give it up and just channel this recall.
Yeah, and now we should look to see if the attention turns from the top side of the map to the bot side of the map here. Hexmist is doing a brilliant job at picking up those neutral objectives in the early game. Picked up the dragon with the priority out of the bot lane, the priority in the top lane coming up huge as well to mean that the Nine Line Klein power is able to give Hexmist that Rift Herald. We can see the attention probably divert back to that bot lane, and in a minute and a half the Ocean Dragon is going to spawn and allow for a potential breakage of that first tier 1 turret down bot lane.
Yeah, Blood King avoiding getting stunned out by the riposte there, not triggering his counter-strike too early. So we can see Alive getting pretty chunked down on here by Twisty, a combination of bindings and Piltover Peacemakers coming on through in the bot lane to get this Ziggs a little bit low.
Yeah, but ultimately is incredibly safe down here, with the Satchel Charge likely available and the Caitlyn with very minimal mana right here.
Oh, Fallen Artemis is here, though. Hexmist has already jumped on over the wall, but he has backup from his mid laner and support. Hexmist going to immediately pull down Rutinium, but now Intexi has gotten a good in on the fight. He's managed to pull 2 targets in with the Moonfall, and now is trying to escape. He gets chunked down low by the Ziggs, but it's not going to go down, and it's teleport in from Blood King, going to get a 2-man stun onto multiple targets, but he does not quite have the damage. He's going to get the opposing Nautilus incredibly low, and is going to manage to take him down at the end of the day. Fallen Artemis now has 2 kills, going to actually move it up, going for 3. Twisty going to pick up that kill onto Sluter, as it is an extended 3-for-1 trade in favor of the Omega Gaming Syndicate roster.
Hey, and not bad really, considering the deficit they were at previously. It is the difference in items in the jungle that really comes out full force right there. At the start of that fight, Fallen Artemis had taken the reset and had the fully completed Cinder Hulk. Not sure if the same advantage was given over to Hexmist in that engage right there, and not being able to channel the Lamb's Respite really hurting the Kindred in that team fight situation. Wasn't able to keep himself alive and pump out any meaningful DPS. Yes, they were able to one-shot Rutenium off the bat and get a free kill for themselves at the start, but the turn back around was so huge.
Certainly was there, and now we can see Fallen Artemis is 3-0-1 on this bear. He has got so big now as a result of that last fight, was able to straight up pick up boots as well as another cloth armor. He's now going to be incredibly tanky for these upcoming fights, and we'll see if he can abuse that advantage in some of these upcoming objective battles.
Oh, I'm always intrigued because the Jax has the ability to either really damage this Fiora or just get damaged right on back. It is so pivotal on that riposte, and I can't mention it enough because of how volatile the matchup is based around one single cooldown.
Oh, and there we go. We're going to see the riposte coming through. Actually going to be triggered, but not going to be getting the stun out onto Blood King, but the Grand Challenge has been issued as Blood King going to be forced to keep that back vulnerable point safe and going to back away here.
Yeah, and you can see the second that the riposte is used and is able to block the stun, 9-line Klein is absolutely just confident to step up, start taking the trades, throws down the Grand Challenge and forces out a ward from the Jax. You can see that the top side is still very favoured for the Fiora. That CS lead in the early game starting to balloon a little bit right here, and with the Tiamat in the inventory, it's definitely going to be at the very least consistent for the next few minutes of the game. They use the Herald in the top lane. That is going to be able to free up the Fiora as well. And now we see an engage mid.
Oh, there we go. It's going to be the last breath coming in from Sluter, trying to engage onto Intexi. Going to be met with the Diana ultimate of his own just to CC him down for a couple of seconds. And now it looks like 9-line Klein is getting ganked in the top lane, but he's going to turn it around and manage to kill Blood King. Meanwhile, Intexi has been picked up in the mid lane. It's a disaster for the side of Omega Gaming Syndicate as they've lost members on both sides.
And again, it is all down to the stun coming on through. The turn back around from 9-line Klein is beautiful, able to take a kill in the 1v2, and Rutenium could be next.
Now finding himself caught. He does throw down that black shield to try to stay alive a little bit longer, going to end up forced into that stasis. Now going to be dashed back in on by Sluter and picked up by Hexmist. That's another kill to the side of the Shurikens. They are not out of this series yet.
Not by any means, Gordo. That stasis coming through far too early from Rutenium. They were still able to jump on in, get the killing blows down before Sluter was snapped back to the Souls Unbound. And we go into a quick pause here for some latency reasons, but we are going to get right back into it with the resume just underway. Game still firmly in control for Akuma right here, and it's a great start.
Now Twisty going to find himself getting pulled in here by Asymmetric, going to be bursted out by Alive along with that Mega Inferno Bomb, now going to be re-engaged from Intexi, going to be going in here onto Asymmetric and is going to pick him up. It's going to be a 1-for-1 at the end of the day in this bot lane.
Yeah, it's going to be A-okay right there, but that trade is still going to be nice for the Akuma roster. They bait out the teleport from Intexi as well. They're going to start whacking away at this mid lane turret as well because of the teleport down into the bot side. So many resources expended to try and go even by Omega Gaming Syndicate to see a fight in the mid lane.
Fallen Artemis lurking around in this mid lane really needs to make something happen here with his Volibear advantage, as all of his laners are starting to be set behind and are continuously getting caught out and picked up. Hexmist, after that last fight, managed to pick up his 4th mark on the Kindred and now does have access to that bonus range.
Yeah, it's fully online as a champion right now. It's 4-2-0. Doesn't have the CS to compare to the Volibear, but that doesn't matter when you have this quantity of kills at the minute. Kindred fully unleashed. Looks like he's going to be going for the Storm Razor as the first item. Provides a little bit more CC to the Kindred as well. The Mountain Dread providing a slow. That Storm Razor auto attack will be
coming in on Hexmist, but Asymmetric going to once again land the Dredge line onto Twisty, and he's just going to be bursted out by this Fiora. Now Rutenium left all alone, going to be picked up a double kill going over to Hexmist as they are running through this mid lane.
Yeah, an absolutely beautiful double kill in the mid lane right there. Another asymmetric dredge line coming on through, and we see now the power of this hook champion. The pick that he provides is just so huge, and with the black shield nowhere nearby for Twisty, he's just getting chain CC'd and chain killed at this point.
Yeah, going to be 3 deaths on him, a 1-7 scoreline total across that bottom lane, as Alive and Asymmetric able to get their job done in the laning phase, not getting bullied out, and now Hexmist able to continuously find angles to jump in and pick up kills on this hard carry champion. The all-star jungler for Akuma Shurikens really stepping up.
Yeah, and in the exact point where he needed to as well. 0-2 down in the best of 5 finals. The best time to step up is right now, and he's definitely doing so here. Sluter in the mid lane as well, that other all-star member for Akuma. 1-1-3 right now, down a little bit in CS, but has that completed Phantom Dancer. Has the potential to engage for his team as well, because of that fate sealed. So much CC, so much AoE potential, that we can never disregard the Yone flank.
Certainly cannot, as now we're going to see both teams grouping around this bottom side. Dragon spawning in about 1 minute. Live picking up that blue buff for himself, wants to make sure that he can keep throwing out these bouncing bombs on cooldown.
And that's exactly what the Ziggs is going to be so good at right here. Just poking out before team fights, setting up in sieges, setting up in poke type situations where both of the teams will be in a position to try and take an objective. We saw it in game number 1 perfectly where neither team had engaged. This time around it's going to be even better for Alive and for Akuma because they have some poke to back up that stance.
Yeah, and they're going to immediately end up being pushed in by an ultimate from Diana. They're trying to protect this turret wherever they can, as Ziggs was going in for the execute there, but Hexmist just going to manage to pick up a kill onto Twisty as he's ran into him in the jungle, and now he's coming in for the dive. He flashes in on top of Intexi to try to get the kill here, but is going to be forced to use the Kindred ultimate. And so here we go as they're going all in back and forth here, as Fallen Artemis is trying to carry out this fight, but does not have access to enough damage. It's going to be a 2-for-1 at the end of the day. Hexmist was shut down by the side of Omega Gaming Syndicate, but Intexi and Twisty going back down in trade.
And all the gold currently on the volley bear for Omega Gaming Syndicate. And it's not where they want the gold to be, unfortunately. They have a Diana, a Caitlyn, so desperate for gold that they want anything that they can get. And 900 gold in the volley bear's pocket is not the ideal carry. Looking in the top side, getting chunked out by the poke of Sluter in the ranged or in the melee versus melee matchup, but those Qs are just so devastating that it really does hurt out on a Jax. Cloud Dragon still available here for both of the teams to try and take, but you feel like that this just has to go the way of Akuma.
Certainly does, and Hexmist there, maybe biting off a little bit more than he can chew after soloing out that Caitlyn. Did not have to go in for more, but decided to nonetheless. Felt like that Lamb's Respite is what the ability's called, was what was going to be enough to keep him on alive, but ended up needing to save Intexi as well, not being able to burst him as quickly as he wanted, and resulting in that 1-for-1 trade.
Definitely did. I mean, the 2-for-1 overall with the pick on the Caitlyn, but when you're trying to dive, you do get the turret, which is obviously going to be useful for you with the 2 kills just for the 1 traded over. It's a good trade for Akuma, and it's not the cleanest play, but it is definitely accelerating the game in their favor, and it's what they want to be seeing here. Talked about it in game number 2, the scaling aspect for the side of Syndicate. This time around, the tools are by no means as crystal clear. Sluter and Alive, Fiora as well, everyone, and I say that. Yeah, the scaling options for Akuma are definitely there this time around. Fiora in a split push late game is probably one of the best champions to try and rival a Jax, who is known for that split push as well. I'll have to see how that top lane develops, because at the minute, 999 is just so far ahead. Look at the poke from Alive as well. Doesn't matter about the scaling, because 18 minutes into the game, a 5,000 gold lead is more than enough to just take a game home.
Yeah, no, Jax cannot be a split pusher with only 1 item to his name, especially when 9line Client is already building up towards this Trinity Force and already has access to the Ravenous Hydra. He's just going to try to farm out as much as he can here, but the Akuma Shurikens are escalating this game so quickly. They're making it go faster and faster, and soon enough, they're going to be able to break the Nexus before the scaling is able to even come through.
Exactly, and we need to see some anti-healing coming through for Blood King in the top side right now. If he ever wants a chance at going 1-for-1 with this Fiora, then that just needs to be an item picked up. Be it through a Bramble Vest, be it through the Executioner's Calling. It's just an absolute must at this point.
Absolutely the case, Blood King. I know you're on a budget right now, but you are absolutely going to need to start nullifying that healing to some degree, or you're going to find yourself continuously being poked out. Now, Intexi finds himself on the wrong side of the map here. He's getting engaged on by the Kindred, by Hexmist, but it's going to just be bursted through as Sluter comes through to back up his jungler.
Yeah, nice little play on the bot side of the map for Akuma. They do lose 2 turrets down in that bot lane in the extended play, which is, by no means a good task or a well-played sort of macro step by them. But they're able to capitalize on the overextension from Intexi. They punish him by taking the kill. But two turret kills for the Diana, that is definitely worth it at this
Ooh,
stage.
that's going to be a binding landed onto Alive here. He's going to satchel charge himself out of the way. They don't know for sure where all the members of the opposing team are, and they are ever so scared of 9-line Klein on this Fiora. Going to need to find a way to shut him down and take him out of the fight if Omega Gaming Syndicate wants to have a chance.
They definitely should be as well. This Fiora is an absolute terror on the Rift right now. Going to take a reset, hopefully pick up that Trinity Force as well. She does. The Fiora fully online right now. 2-item power spike unlocked, achieved, and ready to decimate this Jax in a side lane. You can see tearing straight into that top side of the map once again. Has the TP available for the Drake fight, which should be pending in a couple of minutes right here. We might even see the side of Akuma just start up this Baron. They're so far ahead. It's 20 minutes into the game, but they just have all of the tools to do so. They have a Nautilus to tank, Fiora and a Kindred to deal the DPS. This could just be taken away.
Very much could. There's no vision control, as you said, for the side of Omega Gaming, and they don't even look interested in trying to come up here to face check it. It looks like it's just going to end up going to the Akuma Shurikens, and Omega Syndicate are going to draw their fight lines elsewhere, just try to wait it out and scale up a little bit more before they start trying to really 5v5 team fight with such a large deficit.
Yeah, and they have to right there. I feel like walking into that Baron pit is just going to result in doom. But what this means is that the split push is now even more deadly.
For Hexmist again, looking to pick up onto Twisty. It's going to be the ultimate and the flash from Sluter as well, but they just aren't able to get to him. Twisty eventually being forced to flash away, and could this be the opening that Omega Gaming Syndicate was waiting for? They managed to pick up the inhibitor turret in mid lane, but it looks like they're just going to back away. No re-engage to be found from the side of Omega Gaming Syndicate.
That's a couple of good utility summoner spells taken down right there. The flashes on both Kindred and Yone being expended just for the Caitlyn's. She does have that net available, so a little bit of inbuilt safety in the champion kit right here. But it looks like Akuma are looking to spend their resources up on the top side of the map right now. And going to the Fiora isn't something that I'm typically going to advise. You want to leave that Fiora in a side lane, let her split push on her own, and then get the advantages elsewhere on the map. Look at the bot wave right now. Akuma have got a minion wave in their own half of the map. When you have Baron, that is just an absolute no-go.
9-line Klein going to finish that up here. Now going to be going for the engage onto Blood King. Rutinium is there in the wings to give him the black shield and make sure he's able to escape, but is not going to be there to turn the fight on a 9-line Klein. Simply not enough damage, even in this 1v2.
By no means is the Morgana the difference maker in this 1 versus 2. Lunges on in, does miss that, and with Fallen Artemis in the wings, there's a chance that these 3 members are going to be able to take it.
Blood King's vitals just keep getting lunged onto here from 9-line Klein, and each one can deal such a huge percentage of his health bar. He's forced back away from those unfortunate trades, and now he's not going to be here for this. Now, Intexi getting engaged on the bot lane, going to flash away, but he has the death charge on him. In comes Sluter. He's going to be able to snap back to his soul suit, and he does do so. He escapes away from under the turret, but isn't able to get the kill onto Intexi. It's going to be the flash blown by Intexi, but nothing else for the side of the Shurikens.
Yeah, and this is what we need right here, is spending time down on the bot side of the map. Let Fiora do Fiora things in the top lane. You can make things happen across the map when Syndicate spend so many members trying to shut down this Fiora. 9-line Klein is playing this pretty flawlessly on the top side right here, keeping everybody just on the edge of enticed to make something happen.
And another stun comes through onto Blood King, and that's going to be the grand challenge issued, but Twisty is here for backup, might be able to melt through, and it does able to be done. Fallen Artemis is able to pick up a kill onto 9-line Klein, and Blood King managing to stay alive, but no, he gets picked up by the Mega Inferno Bomb, well placed by Alive to pick up the trade kill.
I'm not sure if there was a lack of respect by Blood King right there, maybe thinking that wasn't going to take him down, but this is a full penetration Ziggs right here. The Oblivion Orb and the Sorcerer's Shoes picked up against a Jax with absolutely no magic resistance. He's going to get absolutely shredded under the might of this 2.5, 3-ish item Ziggs if we take all components into account right here. It's actually looking for a red buff, but this could be disastrous.
Yeah, and the death charge going to get nullified out there by the black shield. Well played by Rutinium, and it's going to lead to a 1-for-1 trade, a shutdown going over to the side of Twisty as they're going to keep pushing in on this fight. Looks like an opportunity for the side of Omega, but it looks like there's multiple members of the Akuma Shurikens now pushing in the top lane. Hexmist going to end up stunned up here by Blood King, going to take him down and going to use the Lamb's Respite to survive from the ace in the hole from Twisty. Twisty and Rutinium now coming to regroup and defend their Nexus, but they've already lost the top inhibitor and the mid Nexus or the mid inhibitor turret as a result.
So kills going across either way right here. But this is the story of game number 2 once again, that Akuma are taking the kills and they're also taking the turrets with it. It doesn't matter that they're giving up a few kills here and there because they're getting the objectives on the map. Top inhibitors down, mid one surely soon to
Now,
follow.
Fallen Artemis going to be going for an engage here. He knows that Hexmist does not have access to that Lamb's Respite, and so there are going to be opportunities to get kills on the members of the Shurikens. They're going to take down Asymmetric and settle for just that at the moment. 6-0-1. Fallen Artemis doing his best to keep his team in this game, but he is the only one that is remaining competitive.
It is just going to be a very difficult task for Syndicate. If any of these kills had have gone over to literally any other member, it feels like this game could be even more favored.
Oh, and now it's going to be a flash in from 9line Klein. He's going in for Intexi here. Intexi is wisely keeping his back to the wall to prevent the Vital from being hit, and now he's actually staying alive even longer than expected. 9line Klein now finding himself jumped in on a 1v2, and it's going to be a huge amount of damage coming in from Twisty and Fallen Artemis. Another kill picked up here, a 2-for-1 on the side of Omega Gaming Syndicate. They aren't out of the game yet, and they are looking to pick up more kills and more favorable fights as 9line Klein finds himself overextended.
And now a few chinks in the armor here for the Akuma roster. A little bit of a slip up there on the bot side, not respecting their numbers disadvantage. Alive on the top side.
And now a flash in from Fallen Artemis, followed up by the ace in the hole. They're going to be trying to pick up the Zig. It's going to be a flash over the wall from Alive. Manages to just perfectly get the distance from the satchel charge. Now going to use the blast cone and going to escape with sub 100 HP.
Oh, just getting away right there, and that would have been a massive bounty. 700 gold on this Ziggs, 1,000 gold to one of the members of Syndicate. Would have definitely been worth picking up right here. We're still 9,000 gold behind here. Akuma are still firm leaders in this game. We've got Cloud Soul spawning in 1 minute 50 seconds, but if Akuma continue to give over these slight advantages to Syndicate, then there's the world where they can come back. Look at the items
finding himself getting engaged on by Intexi. Intexi going to dive out of the way of the ultimate. Now going to dive forward once again to dodge out on the Mega Inferno Bomb. Could potentially win this fight with Sluter, but now Sluter going to be trading back. Alive, dealing so much damage on this. Ziggs tossing in bombs the whole way through and going to manage to pick up the kill on Intexi.
Yeah, the dash away from the Mega Inferno Bomb was just a second too late right there, and Fallen in a bit of a predicament.
Yeah, now it's going to be them chasing on in, but it's going to be a binding coming in through onto Hexmist. He's going to blow the Lamb's Respite to keep himself alive. That's an important cooldown that's gone down here.
Yeah, and they're looking for this middle inhibitor right here. They've got Yone working their way through the bot lane, and with the chunks out, it's going to be that inhibitor slain down in the mid lane. And they're looking for the bot one too. Ruthenium in no position to defend alone.
Yeah, no, 9line Klein is just so heavily damaging on this Fiora. He's become so far ahead, but he's managed to be taken down by the side of Omega Gaming Syndicate a couple times in a row here. Doesn't mean he's not powerful anymore, but does mean he might need to watch out for his positioning a little bit, as the rest of his team going to be starting up this Baron once again uncontested. It looks like they're going to take it down.
Yeah, they definitely do speed run this at this point here. Fully completed Rabadons on the Ziggs. Kindred 2.5 items beside the Warrior as well. It's going to be Baron and likely also going to be Cloud Soul spawning in just 20 seconds here. Could be something to be picked up.
And Texi has completed his Rabadon's Death Cap. Feels a little bit more powerful to go out and challenge that Fiora now, especially in the absence of any magic resistance from 9line Klein. Now, as you said, the Dragon going to be the important objective to keep an eye out for. They do not want to give the Cloud Soul on over to the Akuma Shurikens, but they might not have any choice on the side of Syndicate, as they've lost 2 inhibitors and need to focus on defending their base.
They do. The Cloud Soul not going to be the key soul that Akuma were hoping for, but it's going to be one that they will accept graciously nonetheless, opening up themselves to a potential Elder Dragon in just 6 minutes time right here. 34 minutes reaches the clock and we will see a fight happen, because Syndicate, they've been fairly lax with the neutral objectives, and they've been so quite rightly. They've not been in a position to fight for these Barons. They've given up 2 Barons, 3 Dragons culminating in a Soul for Akuma, but an Elder Dragon is not something you can concede.
And it's just up to Akuma Shurikens now to find the opening they need to close out this game. They've already taken down 2 inhibitors. It would be trivial for them to move on to the Nexus and take that down as well if they're able to find a favorable fight at some point. Now it's going to be up to Omega Gaming Syndicate to stay within their own base, keep safe, find what openings they can, and be careful not to give away an opportunity for the Shurikens to close the game out in its entirety and force us to game 4.
Exactly, and let's not be mistaken right here that Akuma should be winning this game. This is now very simple closeout of this game. Dot your I's, cross your T's. You've got the Soul, you've got the Baron, and you've even taken down 2 inhibitors. There's the engage. Ruthenium going to be A-okay to just about walk out of that one, but Akuma should easily start to take this game here. They've knocked down the final
Oh, and that's going to be a flash forward from the Nautilus. He gets bound up, but it doesn't matter as the depth charge has already come through, as has the dredge line. They're going to pick up a kill onto Rutinium here. They're going to finish off the third and final inhibitor, and now they're going to start marching onto the base. This is Omega Gaming's last stand as they need to move forward and try to have a chance in this game. They're going to start up the fight here as it's going to be a jump on to Alive from the side of Intexi as Hexmist is in the middle of everybody in the middle of that Lambsworth fight. He is going to end up taken down as a result. Asymmetric has gone down as well, but 9-Line Klein just focusing down the Nexus, going to finish it up, and game 3 goes the way of Akuma Shurikens.
And they turn the series right back around. Game number 3 going in their favor. Against the run of play, they're able to take down Omega Gaming Syndicate, finally breaking the curse at the moment that it mattered most. Backs against the wall, guns to their heads. They come out huge. A brilliant early game from 9-Line Klein, snowballing the entire game in his favor, and they turn it back. Still one game down in the series, but this is the brilliant start of what could be a big comeback.
Certainly is, Dude, and I cannot believe that we are going to be going on to game 4 in this series. It looked such like a sure thing given the first 2 games going towards Omega Gaming Syndicate, but now the Shurikens have come back in game 3, and anything could be possible for the rest of the series.
Exactly, and it just shows why these teams have made it to the finals. And I'm kind of glad that we've got this game out of Akuma, because coming in, it felt like this was an entirely different roster, an entirely different look to the team that have been undefeated on their way to the finals, only dropping the games to the Omega squad, as we've mentioned time and time again. But now we get to see some of that fire, some of that energy from the Akuma roster that they have to have used to get here, because the Akuma from games 1 and 2 were not ready for finals. But this game 3 Akuma, they've come out, they've fought their way to the 30-minute mark, and they've absolutely slammed Omega in this game.
That is certainly the case, Dude, and now it is up to us to select an MVP for this game number 3. For the first time in this series, it's going to be going over to a member of the Akuma Shurikens.
It is, and I think that this time it becomes a little bit more difficult, because for me, the most valued player, the definition of an MVP, is definitely up in the top lane. 9-Line Klein, he has probably the least impressive scoreline here. You know, the gold lead is just about it for him here. He has maybe 46 less gold than his Ziggs, but in terms of value that he provided to the team, the pressure that he put on that top lane throughout the entire game, Gordo, the entire game, every single minute he was in a side lane, he was drawing pressure from every other member of Omega Gaming Syndicate and was never really able to be taken advantage of. We saw a bit of an oopsie down in the bot lane where they got a bit over aggressive, and then they, after that, just tightened it up super quickly, recognized that this is not a way to throw the game. They tightened it up, they came through, and they closed it out brilliantly. For me, it's very clearly 9-Line Klein.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Dude. We were able to see that entire game was played primarily through the top lane, and it's going to be 9-Line Klein taking away the MVP for this game 3. Now we got game 4 to look ahead to see once again going to be match point for Omega Gaming Syndicate. They could close out this series at any moment, but Akuma Shurikens now with the momentum behind them as they've managed to take away the most recent game. We're going to take a quick break as we get into Champion Select, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.